The sun cast its golden glow over the village, painting the thatched huts in warm hues as women returned from the river with clay pots balanced gracefully on their heads. Laughter of children echoed in the air, mixing with the rhythmic pounding of maize in wooden mortars. Amidst this vibrant world lived Zuri, a young woman whose name meant beautiful, not just in appearance, but in heart and spirit. Zuri was the only daughter of Mzibaraka, a respected elder known for his wisdom and kindness. He had raised her with love, teaching her the ways of the land, the value of honor, and the power of knowledge. While many young women in the village dreamed of marriage, Zuri dreamed of more, of building something meaningful, of shaping her own destiny. Her father encouraged her ambitions, believing she had the strength to carve a future beyond the traditional expectations placed upon her. But life has a way of testing even the strongest spirits. When Zuri was just a girl, her mother fell ill and passed away, leaving a void that not even time could fully heal. For years, it was just her and her father, finding comfort in each other's company. Then, one day, Mzibaraka brought a new woman into their home. Safia was beautiful and graceful, her smile gentle, her words soft. She spoke of family, of unity, of being a mother to Zuri. At first, Zuri tried to embrace her, believing that perhaps life was offering them another chance at happiness. But beneath the warmth of Safia's voice lurked something darker, something that Zuri couldn't name until it was too late. The change was slow, almost unnoticeable at first. Small things, Safia making decisions without consulting Mzibaraka, whispering to the village elders in hushed tones, casting sidelong glances at Zuri whenever her father spoke of her future. Then, the shift became undeniable. Mzibaraka, once strong and full of life, fell ill unexpectedly. The illness drained him quickly, reducing him to a shadow of the man he once was. As he lay weak on his mat, Zuri stayed by his side, caring for him, hoping for a miracle. But Safia saw something else, an opportunity. Before Zuri could even understand what was happening, her world began to unravel. The night Mzibaraka took his last breath, the wind howled through the village as if mourning his passing. Zuri sat beside him, clutching his frail hand, tears slipping down her cheeks. His final words were a whisper, filled with love and regret. "Stay strong, my daughter. Your future is yours to build." But as the morning sun rose, grief was not the only storm waiting for Zuri. Safia wasted no time. Before Mzibaraka's body had even been buried, she whispered into the ears of the village elders, spinning a tale woven with lies. She painted herself as the devoted wife, the true keeper of Baraka's legacy. She claimed Zuri was young, reckless, and incapable of handling her father's wealth. "She does not know the ways of a household," Safia declared before the elders. "She would squander everything her father built." The elders, blinded by Safia's carefully crafted deception, listened. Traditions were clear: without a father or husband to speak for her, Zuri's place was uncertain. Safia seized this moment to claim it all. When Zuri tried to speak, to defend herself, Safia's sharp tongue cut through her words like a blade. "Are you questioning the wisdom of the elders?" she accused, her voice thick with feigned hurt. Zuri looked around, searching the faces of those she had known all her life, hoping for someone to stand beside her. But no one did. Even the ones who had once praised her father's wisdom now avoided her eyes. Fear and tradition held them captive. By sundown, everything Zuri had ever known was gone. The hut where she was born, the land her father had tilled, the cattle that bore his mark, all of it now belonged to Safia. Zuri was cast out like an unwanted shadow, left with nothing but the clothes on her back. She wandered through the village, hoping someone, anyone, would offer her shelter, a kind word, a helping hand. But every door remained shut. Even old friends whispered and turned away. The weight of betrayal was suffocating. When the village lights faded into the distance, Zuri walked beyond its borders, alone beneath the vast, star-filled sky. Her stomach growled with hunger, her feet ached from walking, but she did not stop. She would not beg. She would not break. She was her father's daughter. And she would find a way to survive. Years had not been kind to Safia. The woman who once draped herself in the finest fabrics, who walked with an air of untouchable arrogance, now hobbled through the village with sunken eyes and trembling hands. Whispers followed her wherever she went, but no one offered her kindness. Her once stolen wealth had slipped through her fingers like dry sand. Bad decisions, deceitful allies, and her own insatiable greed had left her with nothing. The home she had stolen from Zuri was gone. The same village elders she had once manipulated now turned away from her, ashamed of ever trusting her words. Then came the illness. At first, she ignored the signs, a dull ache in her bones, a persistent cough. But soon, the pain grew unbearable. She sought the village healers, but none would help her. Some turned her away with cold indifference. Others simply lowered their gaze and said, "The spirits do not favor you." She pleaded, offering what little she had left, but no one wanted the touch of a woman whose hands had once been stained with greed. Days passed. Then weeks. Safia's body weakened, her once proud figure reduced to a frail shadow of its former self. Hunger gnawed at her ribs, and her sickness stole her breath. With no one left to turn to, she did the unthinkable, she sought out the most renowned healer in the land. Her journey was slow and grueling. Each step felt like a battle against the inevitable. When she finally arrived at the healer's hut, her breath caught in her throat. It was her. Zuri. The stepdaughter she had cast out without a second thought. The girl she had left to suffer. But Zuri was no longer a helpless child. She stood tall, wrapped in flowing garments that marked her as a healer of great wisdom. Her presence commanded both respect and warmth, her deep brown eyes filled with a quiet power. Around them, villagers had gathered, whispering in shock at the sight of Safia kneeling before the daughter she had wronged. Safia fell to her knees, the weight of her sins crushing her more than the sickness ever could. I did you wrong," she rasped, her voice barely a whisper. "I stole from you. I cast you out. And now, I beg for your mercy." Tears slipped down her weathered cheeks as she clasped her hands together, trembling. "Please, Zuri. Forgive me." The past had come full circle. And now, the choice was Zuri's. Zuri's legs ached, her stomach twisted in hunger, but she kept moving. The dense forest at the village's edge stretched before her, dark and unfamiliar. Fear gnawed at her, but she had no choice, there was nowhere else to go. As she stumbled deeper into the woods, a soft voice called out. "You walk like a woman with nowhere to belong." Zuri turned sharply, her heart pounding. Before her stood an old woman, her back slightly hunched, her face lined with wisdom and years. She carried a small bundle of herbs, their scent filling the cool night air. "I have no home," Zuri admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman studied her for a long moment before nodding. "Then perhaps it is time to build one." Her name was Mama Jaha, a healer known only to those who truly needed her. She lived in a small hut on the outskirts of the land, surrounded by thick trees and a garden filled with herbs. That night, Zuri slept beneath a thatched roof once more, a simple mat beneath her and the soft murmurs of the forest outside. Days turned into weeks, and Mama Jaha saw something in Zuri, determination, intelligence, and a spirit unbroken by betrayal. "You have the hands of a healer," she told her one morning, pressing a bundle of crushed leaves into Zuri's palms. "The world took from you, child. But now, you will take back." And so, Zuri learned. She memorized the scents of healing plants, the taste of roots that soothed fevers, the power of potions that mended broken bodies. Mama Jaha taught her not only medicine but wisdom, the way to read people's hearts, the way to understand their suffering beyond what the eye could see. Years passed, and Zuri's name spread beyond the forest. People from distant villages sought her help. They whispered of a young woman who healed with gentle hands and a knowing heart. She had built a life. A purpose. Yet, in the quiet of the night, the past still haunted her. She had been robbed of her father's love, her rightful home, her future. And deep inside, she knew, one day, she would have to face the woman who stole it all. Zuri stood in the center of the village, the woman who had once stolen everything from her now kneeling at her feet. The weight of the moment pressed against her chest. The villagers gathered in hushed silence, waiting for Zuri's response. Would she turn away, letting Safia suffer the consequences of her greed? Would she refuse the woman who had once cast her out, just as she had once been refused? Zuri's heart ached with memories of those painful days, wandering homeless, feeling abandoned, fighting to survive. She had every right to walk away. But she wouldn't. She knelt before Safia, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "You wronged me," she said, her voice calm but firm. "You took from me all that I had, and for years, I carried the weight of that loss." Safia's face crumpled in shame. "I have no excuse, Zuri. I thought taking everything from myself would make me powerful, but in the end, it only destroyed me." Tears filled Safia's eyes as she bowed her head. "I do not deserve your mercy." "No," Zuri said. "But I deserve my peace." With those words, she turned to her hut, motioning for Safia to follow. Inside, Zuri prepared a remedy. Her hands, once trembling with grief years ago, were now steady with purpose. She crushed herbs, measured roots, and mixed a soothing paste. Safia watched in silence, humbled by the kindness she had never given. As days passed, Safia's health slowly returned. The village murmured about Zuri's choice, astonished by her strength. One by one, those who had turned their backs on her all those years ago came forward, ashamed. They realized that they had allowed greed to blind them, and that they had failed to protect the daughter of Mzi Baraka. Zuri, however, did not seek revenge or validation. She had no interest in reclaiming her father's wealth or proving herself to those who had doubted her. Instead, she built a new future. Her reputation as a healer spread beyond the village, her wisdom sought by many. She used her knowledge to heal, to guide, and to ensure that no one else would suffer as she once had. The past no longer defined her. And in the end, the village did not remember Safia's greed. They remembered Zuri's greatness. Final message: greed may steal from the present, but destiny always finds a way to restore what is right.